January through April on record. Nearly the western half of the country in extreme drought. In fact, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Long Beach, California, all with anywhere from 19 to 12% of their usual rainfall for this time. So it's bone dry out there. Temperatures are going to be warming up, unfortunately. And you can see out west, we've got 6 million people impacted by red flag warnings and the possibility of critical risk for fire from Denver to Colby down to Santa Rosa. We're talking low humidity, gusty winds. These fires could break out almost at any time, so we'll be watching it very closely.
All right, Al, thank you so much. Also this morning, inflation remains the source of a lot of pain for millions of Americans. And while the April Consumer Price Index shows the rate has slowed down, inflation does remain at its highest levels in 40 years. That's 40 years. Figure out how to pay their bills. NBC's Tom Costello is in Washington. Hey, Tom, good morning.
Yeah, I agree. This report really underscores just how entrenched inflation has become in our lives. We see it at the gas station, the grocery store, buying airline tickets, but core inflation, which excludes food and energy, is still accelerating. That's putting new pressure on the Biden administration and the Federal Reserve to get inflation under control without pushing the economy into recession. For millions of Americans struggling with the high cost of living, there is still no relief in sight. According to the April Consumer Price Index, the inflation rate rose 1.3% compared to a year ago. While that is an improvement slightly compared to March, inflation is still running at 30-year highs. It means families are spending $450 more per month than a year ago, posing a serious political threat to President Biden and the Democrats in the midterm election. The president in Illinois announcing new assistance for farmers is linking the fight against inflation to the war in Ukraine.
America's fighting
There's
on
a
two
perch on the
fronts.
eastern dock
At
where she can
home,
meet us.
it's inflation and rising prices. Abroad, it's helping Ukrainians defend their democracy.
To rein in inflation, the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates twice so far this year, while trying to avoid an economic downturn.
The very fine line it has to walk right now, so it's got to be very careful that it can tamp inflation down without sending the economy into a recession.
Among the biggest drivers of inflation, housing up more than 5% in a year. Food up almost 10% compared to a year ago.
I'm only buying what I can buy here.
The soaring cost of groceries is forcing more Americans to rely on food banks. In Plano, Texas, demand for meals is at its highest level in a year.
People are having to make those hard choices between paying for food, paying for housing, paying for medical costs.
Gas prices did decline slightly in April, but the average for a gallon of gas on Wednesday, $4.40 a gallon. Airfares are up a whopping 18.6%, the largest monthly increase in nearly 60 years. That's leaving travelers with sticker shock, including Morgan Finkel, who recently booked a flight to Utah for her friend's bachelorette party next month.
We were surprised and shocked when we first saw the price of the flight, so we just sucked it up and ended up spending a lot more for that specific flight.
Yeah, jet fuel is also surging. Now, the supply chain crisis still not improving, with Chinese cities still dealing with COVID outbreaks and lockdowns. However, used car prices did fall slightly. That may be some good news that inflation may have peaked last month.
So am I again, Tom. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Also, this morning, the COVID cases rising again across the country.
I'm afraid Cortira's won't be much help to the Alliance until the fleet is home again. We'll need to bring House Stormsong back into the fold first. They control the Tide Sages, and the Tide Sages the fleet. Lord Stormsong rules the House and basically the entire valley. It sounds like he's the key to all this, but he hasn't been to Borealis in months. We'll start our search in Bremerton. If nothing else, hopefully we can find this Brother Pike there.
We must remain vigilant. And as strains of the Omicron variant spread across
What's
the
going
U.S.
on down there?
White House is warning
Gerhardt, take us in.
passes $22 billion in new funding for vaccines and tests and treatments. The nation's going to be unprepared for a new wave this fall. Later this morning, the president's going to order flags to be flown in
I've always
staff to
dreamed of
mark this
adventure.
moment. He'll also deliver pre-report reports to kick off the second.
I'll try to figure out why the road is closed. See if you can convince the soldiers to clear out.
NBC News. The medical team marked 1 million deaths last week. But obviously, there's no mistaking this May is a heartbreaking month in the fight against the virus.
Ahoy!
Thank you very much. Turning now to the latest from Ukraine, overnight Russian forces pressing ahead with new
Don't
airstrikes.
get your balance. Storm signs now!
Determined to fight back. And this is in the Broadland is a key for us.
Good morning, Hoda. All eyes on the northeastern city of Kharkiv, where Ukraine continues its counteroffensive, pushing Russian forces further and further toward the border, reclaiming Ukrainian towns and villages. This morning, the British Defense Ministry tweeting that it's indicative of Russia's in-capture key Ukrainian cities. And the days
I've had enough of you anyway.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's prosecutor general announcing the first war crimes trial here for Ukraine involving a 21-year-old Russian